Our application is now showing some information about the current state of our contract. However, we don't yet have the ability to actually enter into the lottery. So in this video, we're going to start working on getting a little form to show up that our users can make use of to actually enter into the contract. Putting this form together will be pretty straightforward. We'll place a form tag, we'll place an input, a label, and then an actual button for the user to click. And whenever the user clicks on this thing, we'll make sure that we attempt to enter them into the lottery. So let's get started. Inside my render method, I'm going to find the existing paragraph tag that we have, and then underneath that, I'll add in a horizontal divider, so an HR tag. This is simply for stylistic purposes. It's just to get some separation between the different elements in our application. Underneath that, I'll add on a form. Inside there, let's put in a H4. That specifies exactly what's going on with the form. So how about we say something like, want to try your luck? I think that's reasonable. And then underneath that, we'll place a div, and inside of here will be our label and our text input for the user to specify how many ether they want to contribute to the contract. So let's do a label, and we'll give this the text amount of ether to enter. Then we'll place our input. This is going to be a controlled input, so we're going to specify both the value and the onChange events tied to it. So we'll give it an onChange event handler that will be called anytime someone changes the text in the input. So we'll give it an onChange that takes in some event, and whenever this thing is called, we'll run this.setState, and we'll update a property that will hold the amount of ether that this user wants to contribute. So let's call that property, how about value? Because that's what it's actually called when we make our transaction to send this money in. So this will come from event.target.value, like so. We also need to make sure that we set the value of the input itself. So we'll say value is this.state.value. All right, so that looks good. Let's not forget to initialize our state.value property up at the top of this component. I'm going to go up to the top. Here's our state object, and I'll initialize the value property to be empty string. Now again, we're not making a use of a number here, but this is for a different reason than balance. In this case, we are setting value to be empty string because a text input is always going to be empty string inputs, or it's going to be a string that we are working with. All right, let's go back down to our render method. I think the last thing that we need to do inside the form itself is to add a button for the user to click to enter into the contest. So we'll add in a button still inside the form, and we'll give it the text enter. All right, let's save this and take a look at our form and just see how it's working. Back over inside the browser, we get our refresh, and okay, well, hey, it doesn't look great, but it definitely looks like exactly what we need. So now we can type in the amount of ether, and then we can click enter if we wanted to. Of course, right now, we don't have any event handler hooked up to the enter button or form submittal in general. So let's pause here. We'll come back in the next video and make sure that whenever this form gets submitted, we attempt to enter the user into the lottery.